in the end, I couldn't resist. I decided to grind my Vaporeon against that trainer with the massive ice weakness from the last video. So Vaporeon is now at level 40, and Togetic is at level 41. So now you know where all those levels are coming from. Anyway, at the left side of the screen before the battle started, you saw a patch of grass that's shaped like an O. There's a place where the patch of grass is missing, and in Diamond and Pearl there was a heart scale in that patch, but they replaced it with a Carbos in Platinum. I don't know why they did that. It's not like it makes any huge difference. They could have just left the heart scale there. It would have been just fine. Even though, well, of course you might say I'm saying this because I need 3 heart scales in order to give my team everything that I wanted to give them. But yeah, now you see it on the left side near the middle. There's a place where there's no grass. That's where the Carbos is. But yeah, as for those heart scales, I picked one up in Orberg, and I believe I've heard there are 2 on Route 213, which is just past Lake Valor, so I'm going to hopefully get both of them there. Anyway, Kingdom Hearts. The first time I heard of it, a Square Disney crossover, I really didn't know what to think. The image that was stuck in my mind was like Donald Duck versus Sephiroth. That's as one-sided as you can possibly get. How can you make a game out of a Disney Square crossover? And while I've never played one of those games, Kingdom Hearts actually has a huge following, which means that someone somewhere must have been doing their job amazingly well. They made possible what seemingly was impossible, crossing over all those universes that seem so unbalanced, one compared to the other. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today, if you've been following me for a long time, you already know about it. The Speed Gamers are going to have a Kingdom Hearts Marathon starting on Friday, December 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And it's going to go on for 22 hours at thespeedgamers.com. Do not forget this. If you like Kingdom Hearts, you definitely want to be there. And if you like the Speed Gamers, you definitely want to be there too. And even if you don't care for either, you should be there as well. As for the games that are going to be played, there's going to be Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, as well as their final mix versions, which is sort of redundant because from what I understand, the final mix versions are sort of the equivalent of Final Fantasy X International with like new abilities, new bosses, stuff like that. So I'm just wondering why they don't just play the final mixes. But hey, their marathon, their call. But that's not all. I was just rambling off. There's also going to be Birth by Sleep, Chain of Memories on both PlayStation 2 and Game Boy Advance, and also 358 Days Over 2, I believe. Yeah, I made my research, and apparently that's how it's pronounced. But seriously, what the heck, Square? And Disney as well. What kind of title is that? I know it has something to do with the story of the game, but seriously, this is the most ridiculous title for a video game ever. I think they wanted to make Final Fantasy X-2 look tame in comparison, and by God, they succeeded. Oh, and Phil's also going to be playing Jet Force Gemini, even though it has nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts. The reason for that is because he wasn't supposed to play anything this marathon, but because of that, he decided he wanted to play anyway, so he sort of auctioned off which game he should play in this marathon back at the Castlevania marathon, and it was Jet Force Gemini that won out. And by auctioning off, I mean in donations, of course. And speaking of donations, this marathon is going to be for bestfriends.org. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with Johnny and Mark. Instead, it's a charity that supports animal welfare, so to speak. So, yeah, that's basically it. I think we all know what that kind of charity does. Especially since its name isn't spelled P-E-T-A, then what they do, I call it S-H-I-T. But there are charities that are more than just, look at me, I'm important! bestfriends.org is one of those charities. So, of course, it's always a very good idea to donate, and if I remember correctly, we're only, I think, around $12,500 from reaching the all-time total for TSG of $250,000. That's right. Once this is over, the Speed Gamers may have raised in total over $250,000 over just 3 years. That is amazing. I don't think anyone expected to get that far when they made their first marathon back in March 2008, but here we are, almost 3 years later, and we're looking at a potential total of $250,000. That's a lot of money. That's like 10 years worth of pay. And that is awesome. Thank you everyone who donated in the past and those who are planning on donating, those who watch the marathons. It could never have happened without you, and I know that I'm not exactly the best guy to congratulate people, but still, it's really amazing what everyone has managed to do over the last 3 years, and may we continue to pull together like that in the future. Thank you very much. Oh, and I almost forgot that. I can't believe I almost forgot that. Remember the promise that I made? If we reach the donation goal in the Kingdom Hearts Marathon, I will announce what my next side LP will be after Mario 64. So that's something else to look forward to. And with that, I'm done. I'm done chilling the Speed Gamers for now. I think the marathon is going to speak for itself. But moving on, I have heard that YouTube lifted the 15-minute time limit for most people, and I don't know if that applies to me, but what I can tell you is that I will not be taking advantage for that, for 2 reasons. One is that I'll be honest, sometimes 15 minutes almost seems a bit too long at times, but then again, it may be because I've done over 500 videos at 10 minutes apiece, so 15 minutes may seem a bit too long at times, but still, I'm going to stick with the 15 minutes formula that I have had since the beginning of Platinum, and the second reason is because there is still a file size limit, and I have had major file size issues recently that almost got the Mario 64 LP cancelled. That's pretty serious. So I don't want to even touch the idea of my file size being too big. Now, as you probably remember from the later stages of my Emerald LP, back then I had tons of people asking me why I wasn't taking advantage of the 15-minute time limit. Back then, the answer was that my computer simply wasn't strong enough to handle it. Now I got a new one, so it's okay, but now I'm okay with the 15-minute time limit, so I'm not going to change anything to what I have been doing so far. So hopefully I'm not going to need to repeat it a bajillion times. So, but I gotta admit, you guys are making some serious progress after, you know, that whole thing about me saying Flareon instead of Vaporeon. After that, no one reminded me that I actually needed to go back for Rotom, which I very much appreciate, though I could have used a reminder that I needed to buy Dust Balls. Unfortunately, I only needed one. And in part 37, only one person, well, maybe not noticed, but actually warned me that I talked about Zubat's poison immunity instead of its ground immunity, since I was talking about Gravity, which was used by Clefairy's... No, Dawn's Clefairy, not Clefairy's Dawn. Though Dawn is so pathetic, I wouldn't be surprised if she actually ended up being, you know, belonging to a Pokémon. And now we're back at the Ruin Maniac's Cave. Whoops! I was going a little too fast on the bike here. Remember when I said that the Generation 3 Mach bike was sometimes too fast? which was why, remember in Emerald, there were many instances where I didn't use the bike because it simply went too fast. Well, in Generation 4 the bike's slower, but apparently it was still too fast for little old me. You'd think after over 20 years of playing video games my reflexes would have improved a little, but it seems I still suck as much as I did on day one. Anyway, right now we are approaching the Lake Valor area. Lake Valor, which is the second of the 3 lakes of Sinnoh, the first one being Lake Verity, which we saw at the very beginning. This is where we met Cyrus for the first time, and it was also where Mesprit dwells. But whereas Mesprit dwells in Lake Verity, it's Azelf that dwells in Lake Valor. And of course, Yuxi dwells in Lake Acuity, which is located all the way to the north of Sinnoh. But we're not going to be going there for quite a long while, so for now we're just going to have to make do with a lake that we can't even enter because there are people blocking the way in. But, you know, that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to go there anyway because even if we tried to go meet Azelf, we couldn't. And the reason for that is quite simple. It's because the water level in the lakes isn't quite high enough yet so that we can surf on it. It's only after you catch your Uber mascot that the lake becomes high enough so that you can surf on the lake and get to the cave at the center, which is where you'll find the pixies. And there we go, Valor Lakefront. Of course, the lakefront is all we'll be able to see, since, as I said, we can't access the lake just yet. There are people blocking the way in. But Lake Valor is also known for its resort, which is, well, it's not a town because there are no vendors or Pokemon centers, blah, blah, blah. Then again, I guess the same can be said for many towns in Pokemon, such as the obvious Pallet Town, so I guess this is kind of a moot point. But, did you just see that? A wild Girafarig tried to baton pass to a non-existent partner. Wow! The AI, screw what I said about the AI sometimes being smart with those quick attack Staravias. That was dumb. Really, really dumb. And those are the 2 guys that are trying to get either their hands or their eyes on Azelf. It's not really clear to capture it on film. Okay, as long as it's not in a Pokeball, because I want to catch that thing too. And yeah, Red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage. Yeah, because we need even more references to Gold Silver Crystal. Oh, this woman here, she lost her sweet key and we gotta find it for her, but unfortunately it's an invisible item, so we're gonna need the Dowsing Machine. Yeah, as he's saying right now, in order to find it. But we're gonna do that next time. Hooray for procrastinating! This guy here blocks the path to Sunny Shore City, which is, for reference purposes, the city where we get the final badge, Major Blackout, so this means Route 222 is blocked for some reason. This doesn't make any sense. Why block the route to the city if the city has a blackout? And for that matter, why block entrance to the city? Damn it! Whew. Anyway, while I was ranting, we caught a glimpse of the 7 Stars restaurant. Something else we're going to be keeping for next time, because it's actually a fairly interesting place, especially for training lower level Pokemon, which I currently lack in my team. Vaporeon's currently like level 42. In fact, Togetic is now the lowest at 41, so it's not going to be of much help for training. However, I intend on showing you everything that's inside this restaurant, and I think it would just be easier to organize if I keep it for next time. Now, we keep alternating between Route 213 and the Valor Lakefront, but to me, it's just the same area, the Lake Valor Resort, so to speak. And we're approaching the former 15-minute limit, which I'm still going to follow because of file size, possible issues. So I am going to stop here for now. Nothing up my sleeve but a goodbye!